What up, player haters? It's your boy, the hater, up in this piece. And we're going to do something we haven't done in a while, and that's an AEW Dynamite review. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, why? And I'll tell you why. Because Dynamite is actually getting good. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm an AEW fanboy, but as usual, in this channel, we tell the truth, motherfucks. We don't take any sides. We just say it like it is. And the facts are what the facts are. I have zero excitement for WrestleMania. If WrestleMania does not feel like a WrestleMania, it should feel like the biggest WrestleMania ever, considering that the last few have been, like, destroyed by the pandemic, at least to some degree. But it doesn't feel that way at all. You know, it doesn't feel big time, because there's no stories. Now, again, I'm not saying that AEW is doing a great job in storytelling, but at least they're trying, motherfucks. At least there's a story here. Edge having a match at WrestleMania, and the story being that Edge is going to have a match at WrestleMania, that's the story? Word, motherfucks? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter if he wrestles AJ Styles and then they build a story around that. The facts are what the facts are. The story is just simply Edge is going to wrestle WrestleMania. That's the logic behind it. You know what I mean? So, you know, if you compare that, let's say, to some of the stories that we have in AEW, it's obviously inferior. Now, who knows what's going to happen? A lot of times in the past, WrestleManias have had like really, really shitty build-ups, but they've become really good shows. They just happen to be really good shows, you know? Because the match is delivered and the storytelling in the match is what made sense. But you remember those days back in the day when WrestleManias sometimes had like a twist? You know, like even going as recently as Seth Rollins cashing in Money in the Bank, you know, or, you know, Triple H turning on DX and joining Vince McMahon and the corporation. You know what I mean? Or Stone Cold turning heel at the main event. Like, these are the things that we enjoyed, or at least that I enjoyed, motherfucks. But now we have things to look forward to, like Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn. You know, Pat McAfee. Like, what? I didn't even know this was even a thing. Is this real, motherfuckers? Pat McAfee versus Austin Theory? I guess I must have missed that shit. You know what I'm saying? But all this is a bunch of bullshit, you know? Edge versus AJ Styles, like, I'm supposed to believe it's a good match, but it's not. I don't care about it. There's nothing there to care about. You know, Rey and Dominic versus The Miz and Logan Paul. I already know what's going to happen. Logan Paul is going to cost The Miz the match and turn face. That's, of course, what's going to happen. You know what I mean? So, Drew McIntyre versus Happy Corbin. Like, how many times did we see this on Raw, like 2 years ago, you know? Anyways, I digress. The point is, there's nothing to be excited about here at all, right? The only thing of any marginal excitement is Lesnar versus Reigns. That's the only reason to watch this WrestleMania. So, this brings your boy to AEW. Now, again, AEW is not great, but it was a good episode, motherfuckers. I'll be honest. First off, we start things off with Jericho, right? Jericho's looking good again. You know, he's lost some weight. He looks like a normal guy. He doesn't have this bloated alcoholic face and the bloated body that goes along with it. He looks like a real man now, you know, and he has that swag. So I like this, right? Jericho comes out and lies and tells the crowd that, the match with Eddie Kingston was one of the best of his career. Complete horseshit. Like, it was a good match. I said so on my review. It was a good match. But it wasn't one of the best matches Jericho's had by any stretch of the imagination. You know, I can rattle off like 10 matches that are better than this off the top of my dome piece. You know what I'm saying? Including Jericho, Christian, and Cena triple threat. Jericho, like any Elimination Chamber match Jericho's been in was better. Jericho versus HBK, all of them. All those matches were better. Jericho versus Triple H at WrestleMania, that was better. Every match between Jericho and Benoit, every match between Jericho and Guerrero, every match between Jericho and Angle, right? Every match between Jericho and Rey Mysterio have all been better, right? But nevertheless, Jericho tries to put Eddie Kingston over. It is what it is. Now, again, here's where it gets interesting, right? Like, I think the storyline that's being developed here is really stupid. But nevertheless, it's a storyline. So basically what happens is that Jericho says, I'm going to shake your hand, right? And then they get attacked by 2.0 and Danny Garcia, who for some reason refused to stay on AEW Dark. I don't understand why these guys are on TV. They suck. But anyways, especially Danny Garcia, he's like the most generic looking motherfucker ever. He reminds me of like Arya Davari, you know what I'm saying? So anyways, but with less charisma. So they come out, they attack him, right? This prompts Proud and Powerful or whatever from the Inner Circle, Santana and Ortiz, to come out and save them. They do so. Then, predictably, Jericho gets the bat and starts beating on Santana and Ortiz, turning heel and ending the Inner Circle. Then Swagger comes out, and they have this moment where they're teasing, like, which side is Swagger going to go on? Obviously, the Jericho side. He has no connection to Santana and Ortiz. They're brought together in a group because of Jericho. They're not like friends, you know what I'm saying? So he turns on them too. And then Jericho says this is now called like the Jericho appreciation experience. I forget what it's called. But it sounds like, it sounds like basically there's something that's happening here, right? Like a new stable, if you will. Now, of course, the question becomes, why is this faction even starting, right? Like, what would change, let's say, if the same sequence of events happened, but instead, Jericho and all the Inner Circle turned heel, like they were doing, basically, right? And instead of 2.0 and Danny Garcia, they just got Eddie Kingston and put him in the Inner Circle or something, and the same dynamic would exist. You know, the same people would be involved in the same feud, except you wouldn't need to end the Inner Circle and start a new faction, right? The only explanation that I can think of is that for some reason, they want Santana and Ortiz to get their own push or be on their own or whatever, and maybe they want Jericho to elevate 2.0 and Danny Garcia, as hard as that is to believe, because these guys they're not gonna make it as like huge stars, right? So in my opinion, it would have been much better if, for example, Jericho and the Inner Circle like shook hands and they got Eddie Kingston and Jericho forgave him, and then you can even turn all of them heel afterwards. I don't give a rat's ass what happens, right? But the point is, now all they've done is ruin the Inner Circle, right? And there was no reason for this. The Inner Circle was good. They're one of the constants, and it is what it is. Fine. So basically, the Inner Circle achieved nothing during their run, except for Jericho was champion for a while. So, but otherwise, it was good because there is a storyline element here. And then Hager hits this brutal powerbomb. He can barely pick up Eddie Kingston. I'm going to say it's Eddie Kingston's fault, but I knew he wasn't going to be able to pick him up. I knew it. Like, Swagger is a strong guy, but like, I've always seen him have problems with like doing power bombs and power moves. He always botches them somehow. It's possible that the all elite wrestlers are in such poor physical shape, like Eddie Kingston, that he can't do like the sit up part, right? In order to help him, lift Eddie Kingston up for the power bomb. Like if you watch like those old matches between Batista and JBL, like JBL's like 320 pounds, but Batista always picked him up. He never had a problem picking up JBL. He had a problem picking up like Cena, even Triple H, even Orton sometimes, but JBL, he never had a problem because JBL knew how to do his part in the powerbomb lift. He would use his core muscles, and then he'd grab Batista's head and like pull himself towards so he's in a perfect powerbomb position, right? Because Batista's not strong enough to physically manhandle JBL into a powerbomb, right? But he's strong enough to do it if JBL helps. In this case, Eddie Kingston just didn't help, right? And this led to Eddie Kingston getting powerbombed from the apron to the outside onto a table, but hit like the back of his head hit the table. It was brutal looking, motherfucks. Then they showed CM Punk having a meaningless interview. The match, like the dog collar match, I thought for what it was enjoyable, except for I don't like matches where people just start talking in the middle of the ring. Like when they had Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso. That's not what wrestling is, that's just stupid. You know what I'm saying? Wrestling is always about the storytelling, but not in the actual match where you pick up a mic and say something, unless it's like for fun or like as a joke or something along those lines. You know what I mean? And I'm realizing this review is already taking a fucking eternity because there's so much to talk about. But, just to wrap that up, talking during matches, not cool. Next up, we have Hangman Page versus Dante Martin in what I thought was a decent little segment. Obviously, Hangman Page wins. He's not going to lose the title to Dante Martin. However, afterwards, Hangman Page cut a promo that basically summarized the last year of Dante Martin's career. This was, noteworthy because Dante Martin has basically turned into a single star, and he has picked up the ball and ran with him. Like, I understand that they chose to push him and stuff like that, obviously, but the facts are what the facts are. A lot of times, when someone's tag team partner goes away, the other person just isn't on TV, especially WWE. You have, Eric and Ivar, and this sometimes happens really, really badly because it's or like FTR. When FTR, the Revival as they were in WWE, when they were there was a point where one guy was injured and he was out for 9 months. Then that guy comes back, they wrestle for 2 weeks, then the other guy gets injured for 9 months, right? So they're never on TV at the same time. When Dante Martin has kept the tag team of Top Flight relevant. Like when they came out, I was like, who's that with Dante Martin? Oh shit, it's the brother. They were back, right? And Hangman Page, cutting the promo that he did, really put a nice stamp on what Dante Martin has done. It's time for him to go back to the tag team division, but this should not be forgotten. This was noteworthy, motherfuckers, and I liked it a lot. It's good storytelling in that sense. Now, Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley with William Regal wrestled the Workhorsemen. That's right, motherfuckers. Two of those guys from the Wingmen are now called the Workhorsemen, right? And basically this was a glorified squash match. I didn't like it because I thought it should have been a squash match. I thought it should have been like straight up like boom, 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 3 clotheslines, 2 finishers, the end. But it took a little longer. Then Regal cut a promo. And I didn't like the promo. I liked hearing Regal speak because I've always liked William Regal. He's always been one of my favorites. But William Regal at some point basically said that Daniel Bryan is the best wrestler. He's the perfect wrestler. And the wrestler that William Regal should have been if William Regal didn't have like his personal problems with like whatever, alcoholism or whatever he was hinting at, right? And I'm like, wait a second, motherfucker. William Regal is better than Daniel Bryan. Like, let's not let the accolades, if you will, in the fake sport, confound the issue. The fact that Daniel Bryan won at WrestleMania 30 after beating Triple H, Batista, and Randy Orton is not more impressive than everything William Regal did as WWE and WCW commissioner back in his heyday, right? William Regal is way more memorable than Daniel Bryan. You know what I mean? And William Regal entertained way more people than Daniel Bryan. The fact that William Regal didn't become world champion has nothing to do with the fact that Daniel Bryan is better than him because William Regal had issues. It has to do with the fact that William Regal competed at a time when in order to become WWE champion, you had to be more entertaining than The Rock, Stone Cold, Triple H, Undertaker, Booker T, all these other guys that are better than William Regal, right? If William Regal was wrestling right now, he'd be like a 30-time champion. It would be a no-brainer. Like they would give William Regal a title run way before they would give like Seth Rollins a title run. Maybe not Seth Rollins, I'm exaggerating. But they'd give him a title run before Drew McIntyre, before Lashley. He would have been there before Kevin Owens. Are you fucking kidding me? So that's what it is, and I didn't like that. However, the team is a good idea. It's a team with a purpose, with a gimmick, and it gives something to do to 2 people and William Regal. I hope to see William Regal wrestle one more time. It'd be nice, but I mean, considering what this was, it wasn't horrible. It was pretty good. Next up, we have Wheeler Yuta versus Pac. Who gives a shit? Pac wins. Forget about Wheeler Yuta. It's never going to happen, motherfucks. It's never going to happen. It's not going to happen. Wheeler Yuta is not a guy that, is going to make it big in this company. And if he does, it'll be in like 15,000 years. Then the Hardy and Andrade office, or whatever the fuck it's called, come out there, right? They do that. They do a little tease where, like, basically, they turn on Matt Hardy, right? This was all set up to have Sting and Darby Allin come out and save them, right? After they're getting their ass whooped, then what happens then? Let's see, who could have predicted this? Yeah, so basically, what happens is, somebody hit the writings on the wall, take the writings on the wall. Except instead of that, you get the first theme. Jeff Hardy comes out to, in my opinion, a pop that was less than what he deserves. I think Jeff Hardy should get one of the biggest pops ever. Jeff Hardy is the biggest signing in AEW history, bar none, right? People are going to say, what about CM Punk? No. What about Daniel Bryan? No. Jeff Hardy is a bigger superstar than both those jabrones. CM Punk he caught lightning in a bottle for a little bit, and they gave him the opportunity to have the storyline that he did, but Jeff Hardy was organically over. And when Jeff Hardy and CM Punk were both in the company at the same time, without CM Punk's booking, it was very, very obvious to see, and very easy, very noticeable, that Jeff Hardy was clearly, motherfucks, the better wrestler, and clearly the more entertaining guy. Jeff Hardy is also younger, and Jeff Hardy is also better. So Jeff Hardy should be treated like the A-list star that he is. To me, this is a huge get, the biggest get in the history of AEW. The amount of matches that are now possible are insane. You could have, if they had Cody Rhodes, you could have had Jeff Hardy versus Cookie Rhodes. You could have we've seen this before, but not in AEW. You could have the Hardy Boys versus the Young Cucks. The Hardy Boys versus, Red Dragon. Matt versus Jeff again. You could have Jeff Hardy, motherfucks, versus Adam Page. Jeff Hardy versus Kuki Omega. There's a lot of opportunities. Jeff Hardy in a serious match versus Daniel Bryan or Adam Cole. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of matches that become interesting. Hell, even Jeff Hardy versus Andrade is interesting. So to me, this is a huge, huge get. And probably they should have done this at the pay-per-view. Another get, this one's not so huge, is Swerve Strickland, which of course is the guy from Hit Row. So now he's just another jobber, basically. He shows up and he has like a thing with Tony Nese. They're going to wrestle on Rampage. No one's going to watch. Nobody's going to give a rat's ass. Rampage is like 205 Live now. Nobody cared then. Nobody cares now, motherfucks. Wardlow comes out. Now, here's the problem with Wardlow, motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? The whole Wardlow thing, you could see this happening a mile away, right? In my opinion, it took too long, right? Too long for Wardlow to turn his back. He says he's still under contract with Max, and that's going to be the thing. That's going to be the thing that's going to happen next for Wardlow. Hopefully, This leads to an actual push for Wardlow, not like a half-assed push, but an actual push, where next time he wins like something that gives him a title shot on a pay-per-view. He can lose, that's fine, but give him the shot. And then maybe have MJF take the title from Wardlow, a la Shawn Michaels and Diesel or something like that. Who knows? We'll see, motherfucks. Then they show Keith Lee. Oh my god, like, who gives a shit about Keith Lee? I mean, Keith Lee, like, Keith Bearcat Lee, should I say, motherfuckers? Keith Lee sucks. I can't believe that I thought this guy was good at some point. I did. Because I fell for the trick. I was like, oh, this guy's charismatic because he talks like this and says nothing of value and he has presence. Because all he did was come out, smile, and cut shitty promos. There were a few moments of brilliance, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and just shit on Keith Lee completely. Keith Lee's better than almost everyone on NXT back then, right? Keith Lee's better than Karrion Kross, there's no doubt about it. Keith Lee's, in my opinion, Keith Lee's benefits come from the fact that he is a big guy that'll do like a top rope Hurricane Rana type shit, you know what I'm saying? He's a guy that'll do cool shit, and he has like the face of a tough guy, you know, but also simultaneously the face of a very gentle human being. So when Keith Lee's like angry and he crushes Karrion Kross's little hourglass, that was badass. You know, that was cool. That made me like Keith Lee a lot. However, motherfucks, beyond that, I can't say that I like Keith Lee very much then, and I don't like him now. Especially, I don't like wrestlers when they're introduced, and it's like, here's Keith Lee, and then that's it, motherfucks. And then they're going to try to find something for him, you know? No, when a wrestler debuts, you should already be like 5-6 months ahead in the booking in your head. Like when Carlito debuted, they're like, all right, first he's going to do this, then that, then this. You know, there was like a game plan, right? Same thing with a lot of wrestlers that debut and are considered to be good, like Del Rio. Perfect example. When Del Rio debuted, he comes out and he's like, hey, perro, to like Rey Mysterio. He's like, I'm going to beat you. And you're like, okay, this guy's going to be a big deal, maybe, but he has to beat Rey Mysterio, who like a few months ago was the champion, right? And Rey Mysterio's like a legend, and he beats him clean with submission. You know, so it's like, oh, holy shit, this guy's like a serious player. And then he gets pushed accordingly, right? And he becomes a star to at least some degree. So what I'm getting at here, motherfucks, is the same thing needs to happen with Keith Lee. It hasn't happened, and I think it's, honestly, I already think it's too late. So there you go. Next up, we have a World Tag Team Championship match. We have the Jurassic Express with Christian Cage. In my opinion, Christian Cage is being wasted in this. He was like, in the ladder match, I think Christian should be having like a singles match every week because he's good. It's going to be them versus the Acclaimed. Now, the Acclaimed are my favorite tag team in wrestling right now, aside from the Briscoes. So I would have liked to see them win the titles. I still continue to see Jurassic Express as a transitory tag team. I do not think that they should be long-term tag team champions. I think the Acclaimed would help a lot with the tag division if they were champions, because you would have that mystery of they could lose it at any moment, number one. And two, perhaps most importantly, the Acclaimed would be helped themselves. They would be positioned to be this great tag team, and they are a great tag team. Then we have a number one contenders match, Layla Hirsch versus Thunder Rosa. I mean, Thunder Rosa won somehow. I don't understand how many times this broad needs to get title shots, but it is what it is. Who cares? It's going to be a title shot in, a steel cage. So, whatever. Who gives a flying fuck? Britt Baker is boring. Thunder Rosa is boring. The only one that I like in the women's division is Jade Cargill. And, you know, she's not that great either, if I'm being honest. Then we have a TNT Championship match. They really want to push this title as like an equivalent to the world title. It's not an equivalent. It was Sammy Guevara, also known as Sammy Guevara, you remember him, motherfucks, versus Scorpio Sky. Now, this is a complete waste of everyone's time, right? Or so I thought, motherfucks, because I thought that Sammy Guevara would win this match, hands down. You know, I was like, there's no doubt about it. You know, there is no doubt about it. I assumed, motherfucks, that, that Sammy Guevara would win. I mean, I honestly thought, motherfucks, I thought for sure, that Sammy Guevara was going to be someone that just basically, like, has his title for a long time, and he's going to be built up into a main eventer. Like, I thought that the next step for Sammy Guevara after defending his title a million times would be to go wrestle, like, you know, MJF in, like, a serious match, right? But it is what it is, you know? Somehow, Scorpio Sky, and it's also weird. Scorpio Sky, like, it wasn't even Ethan Page. It was Scorpio Sky, who's, like, the shitty one, you know? Tainara Conchi was, like, involved in this bullshit. I don't know how I feel about that, you know what I'm saying? As was Paige Van Zandt. But basically, Scorpio Sky wins with the TKO. I mean, whatever, right? I guess it was good. It's like unpredictable, but I don't see why Scorpio Sky had to be the TNT champion. I find it very, very weird. So, yeah, that's just how that is, motherfucks. Maybe this will lead to like some sort of mixed tag. Who fuck knows? Who fuck cares? The facts are what the facts are. Not a great ending, but an appropriate one. I didn't really like this match, but I understand that this match needs to be last because this match, is a match that has some actual, ramification, right? There's a new champion. At least it's still a big deal to be a new champion in AEW because AEW is still relatively new. There haven't been that many champions. So now Scorpio Sky is like one of the most decorated guys in this company. I think he might be the most decorated guy in this company because he's a tag team champion and he's also a mid-card champion. Has anyone... Oh, no. Kenny Omega was world champion and tag team champion, as was Hangman Page. Never mind, motherfucks. So there you have it. But beyond that, I think he's like right up there now. Now, not to show Scorpio Sky because I don't have anything against them, but there's like 10 people I can think of that would have made a better person to be the next TNT champion. Ethan Page, I think his ceiling is higher because he's younger than Scorpio Sky. MJF, you could have given it to him. Given him something to do, given him something to feud with Wardlow. Now it's going to be Wardlow versus Scorpio Sky. Like, what the fuck, It could have been, who else could it have been? It could have been, what the fuck's the guy's name? Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy would have made a better one. You could have given it to Darby Allin again. You could have given it to Keith Lee, Andrade. Maybe one of these new guys that has come and has done absolutely nothing with their career. There's a lot of people that could have made a much, much better TNT champion than Scorpio Sky. But here we are, motherfuckers. Maybe even like Sean Spears, give him something to do, I don't think he needs it. I don't think it benefits him. This has traditional champion written all over it. I don't care at all. Even Frankie Kazarian, that would have been nice. But whatever. It is what it is, motherfuckers. That's what happened. The show, I will say overall, the show was pretty good. The show was pretty good. Like, a lot of things happened, and a lot of things felt unique and felt like they're going to have some implications. So I'm going to give this, reluctantly, a B-, motherfuckers. B- up in this piece, motherfuckers, which is a pretty good score if you ask me. Cucks.